Yo, America, planet Earth, what's good? This is your boy Codell, and welcome back to another episode of FGP. That is Father's Gospel Podcast, just in case you don't know. Today's a beautiful episode. So we got Ashley Johnson and we got Lincoln Brubaker on the episode. And the reason I'm excited about this episode is because this is a father-mother duo that are on the same mission to push legislation forward in the family courts. What am I talking about? Equal shared parenting and many other bills. So that's what we're going to get into today. We got some awesome questions. And Ashley, Lincoln, Ashley, thank you for being on the show. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful. Good to be here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having us on, Codell.
Yeah, super excited, super excited. So, like I was saying, this is such an important episode today. So, I'm going to pull up my questions real quick. And before we get into it, you guys, if you want to, give yourselves a quick introduction, let the people know who you are. So, whoever wants to start, go for it.
Ladies first. Go ahead, Ashley.
Sure. My name is Ashley, and I'm a mother who has been through family court for quite a while now. And I do see that the system does need some reformation. And I'm working closely with Robert Garza, Lincoln, the whole team to get legislation to change up their policy. When I saw Robert's method, after living through it, I thought this is the guy, this is the way to go, and I've been fully supporting that since last August, and it's been working. Just listening to what advice he has really pushed things forward, not only in my state but several other states, and we've gone international. So that's awesome to hear that it's growing so quick.
Yeah, I love that. I love that it's going international. This is beautiful. And Lincoln, what about you, sir? Let the people know who you are.
Yeah, real quick though, just to support, what Ashley shared there. This movement, I think we've known each other since July or August, where we both came looking for solutions, and just life intersected us. God intersected our paths, and we both saw a common mission early on with the team. And Ashley, just like we talked about before we got on here, has done some phenomenal things in her state here very recently, and it's been awesome to see the growth, but not just in Ashley or myself, but in a bunch of parents, a whole bunch of parents coming together. I believe we're at over 1,800 certified advocates on the program, and that has just exploded. So why am I here? Who am I? What do I want to do with all this? Whatever God has for me, that's my mission. Whatever God lays before me, I need to do one thing: be obedient to Him, and that's all glory to Him. Everything we're going to talk about today is all glory to God. It's a spirit that leads unity that I've been looking for in my walk, in my position, in my situation. But having talked to well over 200 other parents going through this same thing in the last 4.5 years, this group, and why I wanted to talk and recognize Ashley, is it's people like her, but it's more than just people like Ashley, because there's plenty of us out there like that. It's about building a bridge back in an area that has been destructed. There's a war-torn valley that is called family courts, and there's parents that have been pulled. Families got pulled into that valley, and it created a lot of destruction in a lot of people's lives. Now with Ashley, but everyone else, Robert at the helm leads with a spirit of resolution, a spirit
Yes.
of regeneration, a spirit of hope. That's how Robert leads. Ashley and I, but many others, it's not us. This is the term on the website is robertgarza.us. That's
Right.
the website address. It's Robert Garza and us.
And we're
And
going to be highlighting his website on here today. So I got that prepped and ready for the people. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Sorry. Continue on, Lincoln. Yeah.
So there's a little intro, but really placing the credit where it's due, it's with the parents. Robert built a website. We all came looking for solutions, looking for relief, looking for healing, looking for helping others, and he's provided a platform. That's the whole reason why we're here. As a humble man who decided to build a platform of healing. Now, meeting Ashley, and to tell you a little bit about who am I, I'm just a dad. I'm a dad of three beautiful daughters, um, who we had an amazing, loving relationship, and then there was this interference that came into our life.
Yeah.
Because of that interference, I spent well north of $200,000 and realized that mercy looks a lot like healing, like resolution, like solutions. It doesn't look like what was happening inside that family court. So because of that, I started working with many other parents as a friend. I would travel sometimes, spend a couple days with them, sleep on their couches or their spare rooms. Mostly all fathers early on, but as that took place, I realized just how much trauma is out there, and then you start seeing an area that you can't look away from. I quickly became the guy that word of mouth would say, if you're feeling suicidal, call Lincoln. And I started getting all these calls, and that's something I have not been able to look away from. I won't pick up that
Yeah.
phone 3 a.m. Be the person that truly means it when they say, I'm here for you anytime. The sad part of that is, in what we're going through, most people don't understand what it means when they say that. They don't understand it not because they don't want to, but because it's such a counterintuitive journey that you go on that it cannot be expected for people that haven't endured it to really understand it. So to
Yeah.
become the type of dads and moms, parents that start looking at each other and saying, all right, there's a way through this. The way through this is to build that bridge over that war torn valley. All right, big project. How are we going to do this? There's only one way it's possible, and that's through the Holy Spirit and the hand of God. And that is through love. It's one element. That's all you have to focus on. You got to focus on loving our fellow men and women, but more importantly, loving our children and our youth that are coming up and their future. There's no way that any of us ever accept that status quo as it has been, what it's gotten to, is acceptable from this point forward. No way any of us believe that. The answer is
Yeah.
working together. The answer is uniting. The answer is coming together with people like Ashley and many others and representing that we understand what it means to be non resistant yet tenacious, to come out and say, we're going to change these laws. Because when we do, it will save so many children from enduring the type of grief that ours did.
Right.
So,
It breaks that generational curse. Like, and thank you, Lincoln. That was, I mean, man, you couldn't have said it more eloquent. So yeah, no, incredible. Yeah, thank you. Um, you know, and it's funny that just everything you're talking about, because I don't know, about an hour ago or whatever, I was kind of just thinking of all of us as mustard seeds, but I was really thinking of like just men and women as mustard seeds and how we do need to come together on this and then just start kind of helping water each other and just watch it grow. And we're going to be all right. Like we will break this generational curse and we don't have to pass this system on to our children. So yeah, yeah. Thank you, Lincoln. Thank you, Ashley. So all right, you guys. Well, you ready to get into some questions? Before we do though, is there anything else you guys want to say?
there's so much that could be said. Sorry, Ashley, I didn't let you go first, but the important thing is one thing, and it's truth.
Yeah.
Uh, if we focus on the truth, it encapsulates everything else.
Amen. Amen. Before we get into the question, you guys, do you mind if I pray for us?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for bringing us together today. And may this interview help be a seed that'll grow and inspire moms and dads to come together and start working on this mission to reform the family courts to protect the next generation from all the damage that has been done for the past several decades. God, we're grateful for this opportunity, and may you bless this interview, and may you guide us. Just allow us to work hard and us just trust in you. So, amen, God. I love you in the name of the
Amen.
Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, Lord Jesus Christ, Yahshua, Yahweh. Amen. Okay.
Amen.
So,
Amen. Hallelujah.
all right. So let's get into these questions. Okay, you guys. So here, number one. All right. So turning collective pain into shared purpose, right? So Robert Garza, he often emphasizes the need to turn pain into purpose rather than remaining in an echo chamber of trauma. Ashley Lincoln, as a mother and father who have both survived the deepest, darkest places of alienation, how does your united front demonstrate to legislatures that this is not a gender war, but it's a human rights crisis that requires both parents to stand together?
Um,
Whoever wants to start.
I honestly think educating is the most important thing. If you can get um, just a small, really important piece of information out as to why this is happening, since our stories can be so complex, that is key to just keeping them informed, but also following up and maintaining that bond because you can become friends with members of your House and Senate. They're normal people just like us. They might be an insurance agent in their free time or a pilot or something, but they are willing to listen. So there are the government can get a horrible name sometimes, and I hear my rep is blowing me off. But after seeing them and doing the walk and talk thing that Mr. Garza taught us, they're so busy that they're looking through their emails for something you might have sent 4 hours earlier. It's buried by 100 already, and they're going to their next committee hearing, say. And so just staying really persistent and consistent with them politely has been very helpful for myself and my state.
I love it. I love it. And it's important what you said because I mean, I think people do need to realize that not every single person in the government is bad. The government's like everything else. It's a mix. It's a mix. You got some good people in there. You got some bad people in there. So get in there. You can find the good people and work with them. So, Lincoln, yeah. I mean, what about you, brother?
Yeah, I support what Ashley shared there. That comes from a person who's experiencing it, learning it, and not just learning. Ashley is tenacious. There's one word to be tenacious, but it is to be diplomatic in the approach. And she has not only learned how to do it, she's represented it, she's doing it, and she's educating. Like she said, is the most important thing is the education. To quote Robert, those that are not with us or for us, something like this, stand against us, but it's only because they do not yet understand us.
Right.
And
Yep.
that's very critical whether you're talking about parents, family members in this movement, whether you're talking about co-advocates in this movement, you're talking about other groups in this movement, or you're talking about legislation. It's very important to remember that the best and most critical thing that needs to happen is for us to sit down with each other and talk to each other. And I'm praying that us doing this podcast can be useful and lead to more couples coming out as male and female and saying, "Hey, we're fighting the same fight."
Right.
And let's not even call it a fight. Let's switch that. Let's stop calling it a fight and calling it we're all working for the same solution.
Mm,
Because truly everybody wants that solution. It doesn't matter where you are and what you've experienced when it comes down to this need that we have in America, but across the world. The need requires us as parents to say, all right, the very thing I wasn't the greatest at in my own relationships in life, I had to learn much more about that at 40 years old, and that is to be open-minded, to be willing to change, to be willing to be taught even when it didn't align. But
Right.
in order to do that, when we do that, we now see the opposite side in a whole different way. So a long-winded way to go through and support what Ashley so well described, but is actually doing and teaching, as we all are trying to. How do we represent the severity of the civil need in our
Yeah.
country? It's a civil unrest, and I want to elaborate on why it's a civil unrest. It's not a civil unrest to the point of violence very often, but it has happened sadly. It has happened where parents have been violent to their own families by committing sad things.
Right.
And that right there needs to represent to us that it's time to change this. The civil unrest is in the psychology and in the mindsets of what's happening to our families. That's a civil unrest, and it's
Huh.
quiet. You don't know it, you don't see it much until you're actually in it.
Right.
And then the professionals, many do care. They want to do their jobs well, but it's not spoken, it's not understood. It comes right back around to exactly what Ashley said. If she would have said one word, it comes down to education. All of
Yeah.
us.
Right. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it, you guys. All right. So let's get into restoring the bond via the time taken time back. So the time taken time back law SB 718, it was designed to repair the parental bond by returning every hour lost to precautionary court actions. So for Lincoln in his state and Ashley in your state, how does advocating for this bill together highlight that lost time in a universal theft that hurts children, regardless again of which parent is being marginalized?
Um, Currently here, I say that it helps families across the state because, as you know, if you are not seeing a child out of a precaution, which is absolutely fine, that you're doing an investigation, that is the safe thing to do. But getting that time back after, like you said, is important so that you don't hit that point where the bond is irreparable. Um, just discussing that just just rationally, level-headedly, and saying, "Hey, I understand that you had to do this investigation, but in order to get that time back, um, the word the judges, can give it back right now. However, they're not, and so we need to just flip one word from may to shall." And the feedback and how people are perceiving that when it's explained correctly, they're like, "Yes, that is totally correct. You should get that time back if there is unfounded, allegations for whatever you were accused of," let's say. And so I've gotten really great feedback. There's just a couple really stubborn ones kind of holding things up, and I'm super hopeful that we will get this through. Um, as it just went through other states, that's gonna help us all moving forward. So even if we don't get it this session, I'm still going harder. I'm going harder next session, actually.
I love
I
it.
let
And
them know.
Ashley, what
I let
state
them
are
know I'm
you
not
in?
going away. Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay, yeah, yeah. And Lincoln, what state are you in? I should have asked that in the beginning.
So that's a good question. I have a small property in Missouri. I have a case in another state of Oklahoma, and but I'm really working and understanding as much as I can all across the country. So it's uh it's very interesting to see the model that has been stood up of advocating for family law reform. It's interesting to be a part of a national scope because Ashley did a good job of explaining exactly, what's important about the bill. I couldn't really just add a lot to that, but I believe what's important to say is Utah, yes, go Utah, just passed time taken time back this
Right.
week, and that will affect millions of families, both fiscally in a positive way, and more importantly, the children won't be at risk for the ultimate, that is the separation and the final vicious battle that can take place in family court if a parent does choose to withhold. So time taken, time back restores the time a child lost, but it does a lot more than that. It disincentivizes. One reason that time is withheld, that's one of the most common reasons, is spring break comes up. One parent has the children, but they really want the children every spring break. Just a small little selfish kind of detail, not even that big. But they'll do what's called holiday hijacking for Christmas or spring break or any of the holidays. Robert coined this term, and it's very appropriate. The holiday gets hijacked. How do they do it? It's very easy. All you have to do is call and make an allegation of concern for safety, and immediately they can get the children withheld.
Right.
That's being done as a precaution. We understand that. I want our 3 daughters, to be absolutely safe when we need to call and report a concern. Unfortunately, there's many cases where this is now weaponized to the point where they would call and terminate the other parent's right to the time with the child over that holiday. Many times, very consistently across the country, then you would go into court, get your first available date, and file your first available opportunity. But it can go months. It can go up. I've heard as bad as 8 to 12 months. It's went before somebody got a proper hearing due to delays and, situations with deaths in the families of attorneys and things like that can delay it greatly. You get to a point, a child in 30 days can be turned against another parent. But
Right.
when that can't happen is when they have constant contact. So this bill will emphasize and disincentivize. The key word is disincentivize. If you know that you've made a false allegation last year, but you know this bill, if you do it, you're going to lose the following spring break or the following Christmas, it disincentivizes us. It's a no harm bill. It's a no fiscal note bill. It's a no punishment bill. It's a gentle, non-resistant way to disincentivize. And on the positive side, it gives the children the time they deserve, the time that they lost back. Those children can now thrive in the time that they would have, if someone is nefarious or very determined in the short amount of time of a false allegation being reviewed, those children can be turned to have to know that they have to say, I do not want to spend time with this other parent again. That happens over and over and over. And this bill fixes that problem before the problem ever happens. That's the key. No harm, no punishment, no penalty, but it stops it before it becomes these deeper stages of what we sadly see all across the world now.
Yeah. Well, and I think the more people that discover Garza's bills, that's something that they're going to realize is Garza's done a very good job of one, keeping the bills short, but just decentivizing bad behavior. So yeah, good stuff. Good
I
stuff, you
think
guys.
also, like, one thing I hear about that bill, people are concerned about real allegations. It will not stop a real allegation. The investigation is still going to be done. Regardless if it's false or real, you're going to have an investigation most of the time. And so once it comes back unfounded, that's the important term there for people to remember. And again, that's just going back to educating people that, hey, this is for all parents, not just parents that are going through these issues. Um, like there could be some people that are against these bills today, and in a month, because you can go from full custody to 0 with a false allegation. It could happen to a mother or a father, and it's trending more. Numbers are picking up with women, which is why I'm trying to educate women that you are literally one false allegation away from going to 0 custody. Um, and not 0 forever, but until that allegation is cleared up. And people are waking up to that because it's like, well, my girlfriend had this happen, Or my other friend had this happen and she's a nurse. She's trusted to take care of people. So it's a non-discriminatory issue that we're having everywhere. It doesn't matter. There's an assumption or a stigma that if you're in family court, like you've done something bad, and they don't understand that oftentimes you're summoned when you don't want to be there. You're not the one filing, and there's one litigant that is like high conflict. It's not a high conflict case, it's a high conflict litigant, which I would also just like to say my piece on that. Mental health needs to be looked at for that part. When I
Yep.
sat in committee hearings for 3 days straight, the number one thing was mental health. We need more money for mental health. We need more money for mental health. What if we thought about why are these kids so traumatized in school? Why are they so traumatized? Why don't we prevent the trauma? And these are preventative bills. So that went longer. I'm so sorry about my little rant than I wanted to, but
No,
this is
that's
for
good.
protective parents as well as parents that are going through an actual unconstitutional problem. And it is unconstitutional to not have that time back.
Well, and what's interesting too is you just made me think of this. So in a way, having with this bill, time taking time back being put in place, and then still allowing like the CPS investigations to move forward, that can actually be a positive because then what that does, if someone is doing, has a pattern of false allegations, now because of the time taken time back bill, you can actually start addressing that and that'll start being
Yeah.
documented and acknowledged much more like, hey, this other parent is continually throwing out these false
Mhm.
allegations. Every time we do our investigation, we find nothing. So yeah, interesting, interesting. Good stuff, you guys. All
Well,
right.
and yeah, social services is a revolving door. A lot of people don't want to stay there. So it's hard for them to know in my area, anyways. I'll speak for my area who is continuously making this allegation. They don't catch on because it's not always the same people. So I like that point that you just made that there is a good tally system there.
That's brilliant. Well, you made me think of it when you said what you say. You guys are sparking ideas in my head. I love this, helping me connect more dots. So good stuff. All right. So for number three, you guys, combating the weaponization of proxy allegations. So Garza's research, it shows that false allegations are frequently made by proxy through mandatory reporters to avoid legal repercussions. So by working together, how do you and Lincoln expose that these tactics are used against both fit mothers and fathers? And why is it essential for both genders, once again, to demand a clear and convincing standard of evidence to end this weaponization? I'm going to keep honking the horn on both the genders. Go ahead, whoever wants to answer first.
Go for
Go
it,
ahead.
Lincoln. I spoke a lot
Okay.
last time.
Okay. Yeah. So there's so much packed into that. Um, critically and key is the fact that it's happening to everyone, and
Right.
just over and over bringing ourselves back to realize we all know there's been severe injury by a partner on both sides that usually leads to one person doing what Ashley just so well described as being a vexatious litigant or I forgot the words she used, but a parent that becomes insecure often is where it starts because now you have two parents separating and one parents this way and the other one parent gets insecure, and rather than improving upon their own character maybe at times and their own parenting skills, it's easier to try to remove the other parent away from the children. That
Right.
is often where it starts, but it starts with a small insecurity. It's pivotal and critical to always remember these cases often start in small increments, and everything about Robert's bills is about putting a stop to it before it gets serious. Once it gets serious and deep, that's a whole other psychological healing that has to take place in everyone. And don't go there if you don't have to. So this is
Yeah.
about stopping it. So back to now, I kind of winded myself on your exact question, but give me just a tiny summary, just what the exact question was. I
Oh, no,
did
you're
you off.
Yeah, no, you're good. So it says Garza's research shows that false allegations are frequently made by proxy through
Proxy.
mandatory
Got it.
reporters to avoid legal repercussions. Yeah.
So
So how's
why
working to get go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, so why do allegations by proxy even exist? Why do we even know that term? It's because it started happening. How did it start
Right.
happening? So I've worked with well over 200 cases, and I'm going to sometimes speak about what I've seen. And I have know of a case, I've seen a case where the parent would report so often to CPS that CPS actually put a label or a block and said this parent don't take their calls anymore, which is
Mm,
disturbing. If
yeah.
you ever had something happen to those children and they needed to make a legitimate call, but the cry of wolf had happened so many times, so they terminated, or I would assume they would have given that parent even just a hard time when they called in, knowing this parent. So the parent then has a choice: do I straighten up, or do I start mentioning something to the doctor, to the school counselor, to the dentist? Even I've seen that happen, and asking, and the therapist especially, asking them to call it in. And now you may have it. I've seen a case where it came from every urgent care in the city, but it would keep revolving like a door. They would switch urgent cares because this parent would go and clear up the air with the last reporter, and they'd say, oh, well, all they had to do is switch to another urgent care. There's tons of these around. And so there you got a revolving door of, Robert had 43 false allegations. There's parents, quite a few that I know that had more than that.
Yeah.
And that's how that happens. That's how by proxy takes place. It's typically when it needs to be dispersed in a way that's hard to keep track of it. It's hard to understand where it's coming from. It's hard for CPS to not look at it. We want them to handle legitimate cases, but that's why it's so dangerous to cry wolf, and why everyone in this, if you have children, if you have grandchildren, if you love children, if you care about the youth of the future, everyone together should collectively say, we need to care that we don't cry wolf. And if that's taking place, we put provisions in place to safely safeguard the real cases, but safely stop the false
Yeah.
allegations. And this bill will do that very effectively, very quickly.
Yeah, no, I love it, and I mean, crying wolf's just bad because, I mean, and unfortunately, the way the system is set up currently, I think it's just it incentivizes that type of behavior. So yeah, it's no good. Um, Ashley, did you answer on this question, or am I tripping?
I haven't yet. No. Just to kind of piggyback off of what Lincoln was saying, parents will like I hear often hide a therapist from the other parent too for many years. And so by the time they won't add them on their insurance, it's these are very extreme cases. Um Ultimately master manipulating others to go with your narrative. And that again stems back to the mental health. A lot of these cases I hear, the high conflict parents, not parents, there's usually just one, um, has generally like a borderline personality disorder. And so I think that the mental health needs to be taken more serious in this. And you can't just go in on a preponderance and, like Lincoln said, cry wolf. But with that being said, with this being, I would label it an epidemic. There is an extreme educational gap
Oh
with
yeah.
our government, judicial system. If you do like a pie chart, all of the 20 to 30 third party people that can be involved, the trainings are not consistent because I've called and asked, what training did you get on this? What training have you got on that? Um, I don't want to blast people, but a police department I talked to they've never even read the custodial interference code. Um,
Ashley, I don't mean to
so
interrupt, but when you're talking about training, can you go just a little bit more into that? Like, yeah.
yes, so I don't think people realize right now that there are. I think some have seen it, but I think since there is a high overturn in a lot of government positions, at a lower level, that people are not seeing that, a child can be taken, and it's not okay that they are just with the other parent, say if we're talking about interference, um, but it's becoming socially acceptable, and that's not okay. And so that training gap, we need to I think, be the ones to say, "Hey, I'd love to run this training, at your next social services, conference day," or whatever it may be. I've spoken at parenting classes that help parents get on track, from court, but they might have had some problems where they weren't able to parent before, not alienation, but I have spoke on this before, and so getting everyone on the same page, because, like I said, if you do a pie chart in my state of how many third parties can get involved and give their opinion, it's 30 different opinions sometimes, but way off of what we're trying to get at because we're dealing with people that are manipulating the system while another parent is just trying to follow the law and say, "Hey, this is unconstitutional," or "this doesn't follow that statute I'm asking for." And so there's a gap out there for sure where we're not being heard. We almost don't have a part in the court society, I feel like.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I mean, have you thought about, oh, maybe you're already doing it, putting together almost like a video educational course on how to do all this? So, yeah, yeah, you see, you are locked in on this stuff. So, yeah,
I
I
got a
love it.
slideshow started, and then I got to see how many people I'd have to look at, and it's a lot in our state.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, if that's something you want to do and you need help, you let me know. I'd be happy to help with something like that as far as putting together like the visual presentation, slideshow, all that good stuff. So very cool. All right. You guys, is there anything else you want to add to the proxy allegation stuff?
You know, you could add a lot of things to it. Again, the key important things are to the children right now. If there's a child watching this by chance, is that for them, just hold on. There is going to be a time when what we know from studying from real lived experience history is that children, when they come back, they often want to know why the adults didn't take care of them. They expect, just as a child, when you're a child, you expect a fireman to put out the fire, you expect a policeman to put out the crime, you expect your therapist to provide you safety and security. You expect, as a child, you expect your mom and your dad to be able to take care of you. It's why does it blow you to pieces when you're in first, second, third grade, or when you're young, when somebody attacks your mom or your dad in any way at school? Why does it? Every one of us can look back and realize we all felt that way. You don't attack my family. And then as
Right.
a child, when they come back, one of the questions is that they ask is, why didn't the adults protect us? We expected them to. It's the greatest betrayal that I probably hear is that, why didn't the adults protect us? And the sad part is there are millions of parents out here trying to protect their children truly, with truth, and there's interference being ran. So that's what we owe our children. Hold on, there's a lot of great mom and dads working on this issue, and when our spirit stays right, we're not here to hurt anyone. We're here to do no harm legislation and to represent the truth. The adults are working on bringing a solution so that you never have to feel, a child never has to wonder, why are the adults not protecting me?
Right. Right. Well, and let me add to that. You guys, like, I mean, I really believe, I mean, you guys, Garza's legislation is helping provide these solutions. So I encourage everybody to go to robertgarza.us and just read through what he's got. What does he have on there? 10 bills. Like, in fact, I'm gonna pull up. You guys cool if I pull up his website real
Yeah,
quick?
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think it'd be good for everyone to see this. So, and like, I think all of us in here, me, Ashley, and Lincoln. encourage all of you to go to Garza's website. So here it is, you guys. All right. So it's just robertgarza.us. And then you just literally click on bills and you can go through all his bills. So he's got them all here. Like we got the new start to equality. That's a 50-50 presumption bill. So 50-50 custody right off the bat, unless there's something bad. We got the time taking time back. Um, that's what we've been talking about. Three strikes law. I don't know. Anything you guys want to highlight in this?
I would like to highlight the how easy it is for people to come to robertgarza.us. Remember,
Yeah.
it's Robert Garza us. Come to the website and just like Cordell says, poke through it, poke through the bills, but poke through what you have 5, 6 tabs at the top, and just ask yourself, do I care about this website? Does it make sense? And you'll see how it's set up to be easily used. We'll train on this website. If you click and join as an advocate, make sure you click the little box to receive
Is
notifications.
is there anything you want me to click right now to show them?
Yeah, just go to join the team.
Okay, there we go.
Yep. And then when you join the team, it's free. There's absolutely no charge for this. It is your human right, your civil right, your American right to be able to pass good legislation to protect an important matter, the most important matter, which is our children. So there's no charge for this. It's not designed to be. Mr. Garza could have changed these laws in Texas and then recovered his relationships with his children and then sat back and said, let me enjoy life. But
Yeah.
once you come and you get to know Robert, you get to know who the man is, you realize he chose instead to bring the hope that he built for his own case to the people, to us. He brought that and made it possible in this very simple website to join, to learn how to build a pipeline of support to families for the future. And that's what he's doing. We train every Monday. If you join and you click the link, join, you'll get an email connection, but click the box to receive messages. And then you will be added to our Facebook Messenger group. And it's very simple. There's not much information you have to fill out here. Cordell's clicking on the link there.
Yeah, look
But
at that,
click,
you guys. Just first name, last name, email, state, country, and phone. So even if you're in a different country, you guys, like that's how big this is getting. Robert, is pushing this in many nations now. So sorry, go
it's,
on, Lincoln.
yeah, it's international family law reform. And Robert's not even really pushing it to other states. The states are coming. Like,
Right.
the states are coming, the countries are coming, and they're saying, please help us. And I'll give a brief little story. We were in Toronto at the Parental Alienation Study Group, out to dinner. It might have been 10:30, 11 by the time we finally walked back to the hotel, and we had a country of delegates or a country diplomats. I'm not sure what they were, but they were here to the conference and they were waiting on the sidewalk. And Robert, in all his humbleness, just pauses probably 30, 45 minutes connected with them. They're coming to Robert because there's this deep need that we see here in many other countries. So it's international. It continues to grow to new countries. As a matter of fact, Robert will be speaking in Bulgaria very
Right.
soon, within a month, I believe. Um, that's what's happening, but it's because it is a great need. And as you join the team, you can be added to this Facebook Messenger where we have all the states and all the countries. That's where you can get the links on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays for meetings. We're putting together meetings that are going averaging 15 hours a week in 3 meetings.
I've been in quite a bit of these meetings, you guys, and it is growing. I mean, there's hundreds of people. There's a ton of people here, and so yeah, and from all 50 states, from a whole lot of different nations. But yeah, and you know what? I want to testify too to Robert's character because here's the thing, you guys. Before I even knew Lincoln and Ashley, I knew Robert. Robert came on my pod. He's been on my podcast a bunch of times. And the thing is, like, I don't even have 200 subscribers right now. I'm almost there, so I need you guys to help me get there. But I don't even have 200 subscribers. Meanwhile, Robert is to the point where he's getting millions of views now. And so I'm just saying this because it speaks to the quality of Robert's character, and it to me that demonstrates that he's actually out here trying to provide real solutions, and he's searching for other like-minded individuals who want to help fix the situation. And I can't recommend going with what he's doing enough because so far what I've seen, he's getting the most results. And I don't know. I just think he has some qualities about him that make him highly effective. So, anyways, you guys, yeah, please, whoever wants to talk, continue on.
I think Robert's character is honestly the total selling point, and the crazy thing is it's free. So he doesn't even
Yeah.
have to sell himself. Um, and he doesn't try to actually. Robert is a very genuine person, and I was obviously nervous the first couple of times I met him. I'm like, "Oh, he's really famous." But when you talk to him, he is so willing to just guide you, support you in any way possible, and it's not just legislation. He's a very friendly person, and he's willing to work with anyone. Obviously any country, any demographic. He's helping a lot of people, and I would love to give props to him. He keeps such an impressive schedule for meeting with everyone. He makes it a point to, if you want to meet with him, he will meet with you for sure. And so that's what I think the best thing is we have an amazing leader that is in this for all of the right reasons, and people are seeing how genuine he is, and that is why they are going with his movement. And I think that's why we have great success because we have a great leader.
Yeah, he showed up for through Zoom for my brother Kyle's court hearing, and he did it when he was in Dallas at some type of political convention, and
Yeah,
so he was busy, and he literally stayed the whole entire court hearing. So yeah, I mean, yeah, okay.
I
So
believe it.
incredible dude, you guys. Yeah, you guys. I'm telling
Yes.
you, parents, you need to go to robertgarza.us and just join us. Like, just give us a try. Give it a try, and you're gonna find that this community is awesome. And yeah, I think you'll be sold once you dip your toe in the pool. So, all right. Anyways, let's get on to the three strikes. So, the three strikes deterrent for all families, you guys. The three strikes law provides law enforcement with a tiered tool, starting with $500 fines to address custody interference. So, Lincoln, Ashley, how does once again your joint advocacy help shift the narrative away from civil matters and towards a system with interference, where interference is recognized as a crime against a child's right to both parents?
Yeah. There's a couple key things that matter to point out on three strikes. The first being the intent is not that anybody goes to jail. The intent is to disincentivize these withholdings that are not legit. And it's also designed that it adds layers of protection to real situations. It allows a parent who is legitimately caring for children, it allows them time to get paperwork in order, to get things in order, to protect a real case. The sad part of what we have going on now is that the many, with it being a civil matter currently, where the police have no tool to go out and to take care or enforce a judge's orders currently. They can only say it's a civil matter, take it back to family court. And what is so critical to know about this bill provides security to children. It provides a method by which there can be some accountability given, which is the fine, the ticket, in a non-confrontational manner. Meaning, if an officer is called and three strikes is in place in the state now, the officer may come out, ask to see the current paperwork, and if that current paperwork requires the child to be with a given parent, and for whatever reason the other parent refuses, or the children refuse. Sometimes children will get to the point where they've either been coached or they know that the safest answer for them is to say, no, I don't want to go, for consequences that may take place if they disobey the controlling parent. And if that's the case, the officer may not create a huge scene. You're not going to send the children. The children are not going to get transferred. He provides that $500 fine. There's no problems other than that. It's straight lay, straight cut. It still goes back before the court for the court to make the decision. What's important here is the parent that has now withheld the child is now the obligator. I don't know if I said that word right, but they are obligated to provide the reason why. The burden of proof is now placed in the correct camp. Because when
Right.
you have a false allegation, there's nothing to show in defense of the false allegation or a false reason for withholding a child. You can't defend it. There's nothing to show. It didn't happen. But in this case, the parent that has the concern now has the burden of proof to go, and they can say to the criminal court, yes, this is the reason why I withheld, and it's a good reason. The judge still has the discretion to make a judgment on the evidence, not a preponderance anymore, the physical, clear, and convincing evidence.
Right.
That's so critical. But again, it's important to go back and say the whole design of this bill is to disincentivize without penalty. Because a parent that truly withholds a child for a true reason will go and get a true answer for that judge to look at and say, this is the reason I withheld. The judge will say, drop the fine. Absolutely understand. It's just like a speeding ticket. You were speeding, but your wife was in labor and you need to get her to the hospital and I'll give you an escort, but the law will recognize that immediately at a higher burden of proof, which is clear and convincing in criminal court. Key differentiator there. And it will disincentivize these things from happening. But even if they do happen, the reason that legislators are for this, the police have a tool now
Right.
to actually address, and the speed at which you can resolve an issue, whereas previously you get told go back to family court, get your first date, when can you get in front of the judge to resolve the reason a child was withheld. Well, it takes time. This case is on occurrences. So if you have first, third, and fifth, and break in the middle of the week on a Wednesday night, you would go out and the children aren't getting transferred correctly. Contact law enforcement. They take a look at the books. What is the judge's order? What has the judge ordered? And when that says they should go, drops that $500 fine in the hands of the withholding parent. That parent can then go down promptly and get an understanding of why they withheld. But by the next weekend is your second occurrence. If you go back to second weekend and then the third weekend, by the third weekend, there is a stiffer penalty involved, meaning there's a good chance if you have not resolved a real reason in that amount of time, the children then end up going with the parent that they need to go because there will be an arrest made.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting about the fines, and I never thought of it in this way till just right now listening to you is so um what it does is obviously it disincentivizes, the parent that's misbehaving from doing this, but it also by doing it this way to where the cop can just go and write a ticket and give them the ticket, they got their fine. It also removes the trauma from happening to the child, so you're not causing this crazy situation where you're cuffing up the parent, dragging them off. All of a sudden, you have this, loud situation going on. But it also hits that parent that is not doing the correct thing. It hits them where it hurts, right in their pocketbook. And for the most part, the best way to get people's attention is to hit them in their pocketbook. So I like that. That's really good. Yeah, excellent, excellent. Ashley, what do you got?
So as far as keeping that gender neutral, um, when advocating at any level, because I did start by just following Robert's directions, email them, ask for a Zoom follow up. It has been gender neutral on all of our Zooms. I tore up this state. I didn't email my rep. I emailed the whole state, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And so, like, they were hearing from me, and we did a ton of Zooms. But having Robert and myself, they're able to share the exact same experience, worked just fine. So, if you're just starting, um, males have asked me to be on their Zoom calls too, just to show this is not just an issue. And historically, yes, it has been an issue that fathers are going through. But as we see the days develop, it's just happening to everyone. So if you're just starting out, that's a really great way to show legislature this is
Yep.
not a gender issue. In person, I was with a father, so this was also gender neutral. He wasn't getting really great feedback, but he's at the Capitol daily. He is getting great feedback, actually. Some reps just don't want to talk to him because they know why he's there, and he is there every day for session. But once he had brought me around and introduced me to a lot of the ones that are listening to him, and then I got to sit on a caucus and listen to how they were going to vote. So that kind of legitimized myself where they all met
Right.
me. Um, Once we were introducing together, I noticed when those reps walked by and saw me, it was almost like going by a car crash. You can't not look. The look on their face was like they had severe guilt, and the comments from a lot were like, "Wow, I can't believe this is going on." So that's why I highly emphasize both genders have to have a very comfortable environment for both. So for myself, I have to respect that this person's ex was like, did this, this, and this, and it's unacceptable for me to do that, that, and that, because that's what they've already been exposed to, and they're very guarded from that. And understanding the same way for myself, where it's comfortable, where it's like you just need a good flow. And Lincoln and I will do that too on the training. So it's being modeled everywhere. Um, but then once you can explain it also, that people that have had to be a protective parent, and you can explain that part of the bill, because I do know people that have had to be protective parents. um that is a great way to say, hey, my buddy here, the other parent has, say, let's just use addiction as an example. They have an addiction issue. It is highly suspected that the other parent could be under the influence, and they chose to not send their child to this visit, because if you flip that coin, if you send your child into an unsafe environment, that is also neglect. So it's a gray area right there where the 3 strikes clears that up. But again, having a mother and a father present is the best way to get through. From what I'm seeing, I've seen both genders just take off on their own and try to kind of do it independently, and they're not getting as fast of results, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, let me just say this real quick. Yeah, again, I mean, it's obvious through this interview, mothers, fathers, like, if you're not doing this yet, start reaching out to each other, find like-minded mothers and fathers, because we are just so much more powerful as a united front. But anyways, Lincoln, I'm sorry, sound like you're about to say something.
I think I'm wonderful. I was just tracking and enjoying, and this education that is so important. Ashley's living it. We're living it. All of us are. It's grassroots. It's learning, but it's living it. But it's understanding. The dynamic that will naturally occur when a divorce takes place is which way am I going to look? I'm going to go look to my fellow fathers for advice that have went through divorce. A female is going to look to her fellow mothers. I don't know if that's properly said, but you're going to gravitate that way. What is tough is when you get out there and you go into all these different groups. There's many great groups, great groups out there helping and healing and guiding, but there is a tendency that it gets when it gets gendered, there's this ideology that begins to sink into these movements. And
Yep.
but it's important to realize hundreds of thousands or millions of parents on both sides of the gender gap gravitating towards some of these groups, but they don't really find what they were looking for. We go there, we find more of the division that was the problem in most of our marriages, was a division. And so those folks are still sitting there looking for something. And when Robert, I say when God ordained it this way, but when Robert was willing to do what he did, he created a space for this to start coming back together. And we're seeing this actively. More and more people are just saying, I'm not satisfied looking on one side or the other because I'm not finding that healing, that solution for the children. And so we're seeing this as an influx of folks saying, I drifted naturally. I'm going to drift towards my own gender. But now, if I'm humble and smart and with it, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to realize that the answer lies again in working together. And I haven't met another person like Ashley in my entire life that was as profound at saying, team up. I've worked in corporate America for 25 years. It's the same thing as, look at history. Just look up a dual, either a president from the past or someone that had a male-female working relationship, pure, strong, and look at some of those articles. Look them up, and you'll find. And I thought I'd have these off the top of my head to remember to quote, but there's powerful duels out there that, the old age-old saying is, behind every good man there's a good woman, but behind every good working professional relationship, that when the genders are synced up, it creates this powerful opportunity.
Yep.
And I hadn't known it to the level as now. Why is that? Well, it's because we've gone through the same hill, the same firewalk as each other, and you understand where that person's coming from. But you are willing to be humble enough to say it's not all one gender. No matter who injured the situation, it has a lot to do with forgiveness, folks.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
and there's a lot of range on forgiveness we can talk about here, but it has to do with laying down my ego in my situation and saying, lay it down. If you have a company and a movement that's ran and can be run without leaning and standing on ego, you get the opportunity to work together. And this is that's why it works. It's why it works. People are willing to do that.
Yeah, and what makes this group, to me, this movement that we're talking about, Garza's movement, so special is, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful towards any other group I've come across, but again, solutions are being provided with Garza, and I feel like with a lot of the other groups, whether I don't think most of the time it's intentional, maybe sometimes, but it ends up almost just becoming, these groups become this cycle to where everyone's just continually reliving their trauma and there's no
Mhm.
issues being solved. No, there's no progress forward. And it's why for me, I don't tell my story really unless someone really wants to hear it. I don't even bring up my story because I've already lived it a million times and, like, I don't wanna I just don't wanna keep reliving that trauma. I'm like, "Yeah, it sucked." Like, "All right, I know what I went through." So, but anyways, all right, you guys, so the 50-50 shared parenting bill as the great equalizer, right? So Robert Garza describes the push for presumptive 50-50 custody as the largest civil rights movement of our time, affecting every race, religion, and gender. So, Ashley, Lincoln, how does your partnership prove that when moms and dads unite for equality at the new start, it removes the financial and emotional incentives that currently fuel the incestuous 60 billion family law industry?
Yeah,
Coming
it's an.
together on oh,
Go ahead, Ashley. No, go ahead.
sorry.
I need to pause longer.
Um, Coming together on that bill was really easy for me. I think that bill has the most exceptional rebuttable presumptions that a bill could have. It covers everything that we need out there. As I mentioned, there's a gap that covers that gap of new behaviors that we're seeing, not just DV or chemical use as a rebutted presumption, but also other behaviors that can promote not the best interest for promoting that relationship with the other parent to the child. So that was easy for me to come together with. I do have every other week 50-50, and so that
Nice.
is my schedule. The people that I'm working with, I would co-parent with them in a heartbeat any day, and so it's made it so easy to see how that bill very easily will filter in the really good parents that are being held against this. And again, I'm going to say mostly men are going, the good fathers are going to get filtered in because just a few, very low percent are keeping you guys behind on this while filtering out that low percent, if that makes sense. And so I know I'm making that bill more towards fathers and I am supposed to be gender neutral, but women need to also realize, unless they want to keep going through this, we have to get on board and help these guys out because if we're not united, and if women are getting more traction across the country, and Lincoln and I have kind of seen that we're moving a little bit quicker, we need to toe this line because the guys are willing to stand behind us at least and help support us. So that was really that was like a given no go for me because when I met a lot of people and I used to train a lot on legislation, I was like, why is this person here? I would love to co-parent with them. They seem like a lovely person. So I see the good in people and how that's hurting children not here not having that time. How many times do you hear in this study, that study, A B C D E F G, children need both parents or they're at risk for like 10 to 20 things that come true often. And so that bill should be a no-brainer. I think it will get there. Give it about 2 years, and I think that will be one of the most popular bills going through the country. A lot of people, again, not educated on it, and they hear the term shared parenting, but they don't read it or necessarily understand the verbiage. And so they immediately go to, I would have to 50-50 with my abuser, for example. Um, and that's not the case, but they haven't read the bill. So it's a really simple fix, I think, to get more on board with that by just simply educating.
Well, I wanna give you some major praise because I didn't realize that you had 50-50 custody of your son of your how many kids do you have?
I have two.
Okay, yeah, of your 2 kids, and the fact that you have 50-50 custody and you are still in there pushing this legislation. I freaking love that because I mean, yeah, yeah, wow. Thank you, Ashley. That is incredible dedication because to be honest, and I'm not saying this to be rude, but most parents when they get their victory, they tend and I don't blame them because it's a stressful situation, but they tend to just disappear because now they got their kids, everything's safe. They want to avoid the situation. So I understand. But again, the fact that you got your 50-50 custody and you're still in this, that is incredible. So thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that. Lincoln, what about you, brother?
Yeah, kudos to Ashley and everyone. It's even more than that when people are advocating as parents, grandparents, uh, current spouse. We're seeing just an amazing group of people who are recognizing the importance of this, and it really is the importance of it is about the youth of the future. We what kind of parents are we if we leave a bigger mess behind with this than we ourselves had? And I refuse to think that way, and so do many other people. We're not going to live our lives and leave this undealt with. It's getting dealt with now, and we'll never go back. We'll never go back because we'll have the education and the knowledge to never let it get to this point again ever that it's gotten to. My points are, data. We have more than sufficient empirical data to tell us that it's in the child's best interest to have access to both parents.
Right.
There's not even an argument there. That's been an argument that's been made for years, and the data's there, empirical, well done, peer-reviewed. Um, Science and data is in place that says it's better for a child to have access to both parents. Okay, so that argument's off the table. So whoever's making that argument today needs to stop. You're just
Right.
making yourself look a little silly. The next step to then realize is protections are important. Why why wouldn't we want to start at 50-50, and while the court professionals have their eyes on the family from day one, determine through the behaviors and the actions, why would you want to go through a case and then start the process of negotiating for the time? Start at 50-50 unless you have a real reason. It's very basic, it's very simple. Then, while the professionals have their eyes on the case, let the divorce unfold. You will quickly see who the problematic parent is. Use
Right.
that and then judge accordingly. But unfortunately, that's not being done. They're starting at the floor of what it was allowed to be, which, whether it's standard or expanded standard, there was a rule set, and they're starting at not to go below levels, which is 29% and 39% for expanded standard. That's then working forward, forcing a parent to work forward to prove that they are worthy or they're a good parent. Start at 50-50. While the professional eyes are watching, let the parents immediately show. You will see it. It will just clean up so much of the system. We already know it's important. Now, to Ashley's little comment about parent may say, "Well, I don't want to be in the presence of my abuser. This person was abusive." Groups that are talking like that need to take a look at the math. And it's a mathematical error that is being used as an argument to say if you have 50-50, Robert did a post on this, but if you have 50-50 with a parent versus the standard or even the expanded standard, the way that happens would be week on, week off, ideally, taking the children to school, picking them up in school. If you have an abuser, that is perfect. If that abuser was abusive to you and you believe that, and there's a reason you don't want to be in their presence, but there's absolutely no problem with the children, hasn't been a problem with the children, you don't have to face that person. There's
Right.
no chance for conflict. Whereas if you're doing a restricted standard, which is what I'm going to call restricted standard that they're calling a standard, you have to encounter that person over and over. Think of a Wednesday night, picking up maybe at the school, but dropping off with the parent. You're going to encounter that parent. I think Robert's chart talks about 140 times.
126,
100.
143 was it? It's a
Uh,
lot. It's in
it's
the
an incredible,
130s.
this obviously vary, but an incredible amount of interactions that you're exposing yourself to. Whereas 50-50 exposes the children, the parent, to the schools, majorly, mostly dropping off, picking up, no real face to face that conflict can be created from. We have to do the math, but again, it's very simple. We have to do the education, the understanding of what are the arguments, what are the bills. Come to the table, come to the meetings. The number one thing I love about this grassroots movement is the doors are open, transparency.
Yeah.
Come, talk to us about any thing that you see as an unintended consequence that could potentially happen. And I've heard Robert say this. His design is not to have unintended consequences. And if there's a known factor, he will listen to that. So come and bring the conversation together. Come to the table. That's why the only way that we can't satisfy everybody. There's 10% of extreme cases that you cannot litigate or legislate. And we can call it what we wish. There's either some severe psychological impact, maybe just you could call it crazy. There's 10% of cases possibly that you cannot legislate. That we're not talking about cases that have known reasons why there shouldn't be 50-50. We're talking about the large mass now that has no known reason why they shouldn't start at 50-50, but they're not
Right.
getting started at 50-50. That's such a
Yeah.
key thing to remember.
And I think too, just having week on, week off, and like Robert had recommended in the summer, try 2 on, 2 off, so it's less exchanges if that is the case. I've heard of some crazy schedules like 3-2-3. It's just that's a
That's
lot
too
of
much.
packing up and back and forth for the children. I know at one point I've heard of kids on that schedule actually asking for a week on, week off, or even 10 days at a time. And, and picture yourself having to get all of your favorite belongings and pack them up, you know, 3 days. Okay, now 2 days, now three. So I would say if you can try to get week on, week off, because it is the best schedule out there for you, and that is split then right down the line, and the children are going to appreciate that. They do not want to be their own moving service when they are 6 to 18 years old. I think before that the parents are, but still. And
Yeah.
they might be at a young age, but if you think about it, they want a consistent life. So going back and forth that quickly is a lot, but if you can get to 50-50, do what you have to do also.
Right. And it's you guys, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's about the kids. Let's give the kids the stability they deserve. So all the kids that are in these situations. So all
I think
right,
it's
you
common sense, right? That's a common
yeah,
sense policy. That's what I
it
would label
should
it.
be. Yeah, I mean, I wish honestly, I sometimes think people just don't do a good job of connecting the dots on the bigger picture of things, and they just get caught up in their own personal emotions and feelings, and it's like, no, I mean, this is yeah, there's a lot of shrapnel being spread from this madness if we don't do it correctly. So yeah, it's
And
bad.
I'll just say not all the time, feelings can't always be a fact. So if
No.
you feel this way towards one person, remember your child doesn't feel that way towards the other parent. And so you need to keep that to yourself. And you need to keep your
Yeah.
feelings to yourself. That's not factual to say I can't co-parent with an abuser. Maybe there was an argument and abuse should be taken serious. I fully agree. But sometimes it comes down to feelings versus facts for that. And we need to keep our feelings to ourselves and love our children so that they can love both parents.
Yeah, no, I love that because I mean, for me, like very rarely if I do mention anything about my case on this show, I make sure if I communicate, I do my best to communicate in a way where I'm not putting down the other person. So, even if I don't like the way I'm being treated, so that's what I gotta do.
Yep.
But, okay. So, you guys, let's keep it moving. So, eradicating justice delayed across state lines. The 10-day rule aims to prevent judges from leaving families in legal limbo, which allows time for brainwashing and alienation to take root. So as you both push this bill stack in your respective states, how do your combined stories of justice delayed is justice denied pressure the judiciary to be more transparent and accountable to the families they serve?
I think
So
that comes. Oh,
no, go. You're good, Ashley. Keep going. You're so good at this.
I think it just comes down again to lived experience and then educating. So if your judge made a decision and something could have overturned that decision, say within, this is quick, but 45 minutes to even 4 days, you could be stuck on that temporary order for so long that the bond again becomes irreparable. And then it becomes status quo that a parent that maybe made a false allegation, because a lot of times people are put on temp orders because of false allegations. um they lose that time, and if you're going to be fighting for your child even through the humiliation of a false allegation, etc., you love that child. Am a firm believer, even if you might be on a supervised visit or something, you still love that child and you should be given a chance to be welcomed back into their life when you are better. I don't think that you should just be crossed off of the books for the rest of your life.
Yeah, yeah. Temporary orders definitely had a big impact on my life. I actually just officially was able to untangle this temporary order, and I'm finally able to start moving forward. And it's taken 4 years to untangle this this thing. So, what about you, Lincoln? What do you got?
Quite frankly, it's just good practice for children. If you're thinking about it in family court or you're thinking about it as a splinter, it doesn't matter how you're thinking about an injury that takes place that takes forever to treat. Makes no sense in any child's
Right.
interest. And so, we can go deep about how it works and but the bottom line is it's as simple as that. When your child gets a splinter, you dress it, you remove it, you address it, you treat it, you heal it.
Right.
Um, and if family court can't even comprehend that simple of a scenario, why this bill is important, or people can't comprehend it, then it's worrisome to anybody. Why shouldn't we? Good judges do. Good judges want that case moved forward. They're going to naturally do it. They'll tell you that. And the reason why is it even important? Because what did you eat for lunch on Tuesday morning, early noon, whenever you had your lunch on Tuesday? Nobody remembers. The judges had so many cases, so processing these effectively, there's so many angles you can look at why it has to be that way. Good
Yeah.
judges do it. Good judges do it. Cases that don't want to move things forward, cases that want to drag things out, will be prevented by a judge that just look at it as a training tool for the process in the courts. It's a great training tool. It's a great guideline. It's a great standard work, just as we would have in a factory. Efficiency. You can go into all the reasons why it's not being done, or you can just simply look at a few very simple reasons why it makes the best sense and it harms no one. Again, it's so critical to realize these bills are short one pagers. They make
Yep.
tweaks to a system that are just right to be made. And so nobody should stand against it. There's no reason to stand against effectively and efficiently healing a injury or a wound from a splinter in a child's finger. No, it makes no
No.
sense.
Yeah, and these bills. I mean, I've seen a couple of videos now of people trying to argue against these bills, and it's just you can't argue against these bills because they're just so common sense. So yeah, that's awesome.
No.
You guys, I want to add. Oh, go ahead, Ashley.
I was just gonna say, unless the system was totally designed by flaw, which I have faith that they tried to do good at the time, it does need reformation. I don't know why you would want to wait that long to finish a job. So if I have something to do, I don't wanna wait the rule here is 90 days. Some states don't have a limit. I want that done right away so I can get on to the next task. So there's no way, for example, in 90 days, you can remember a specific hearing unless you're watching a video of it, which is impossible. You can read what the recorder wrote. That's a lot of reading sometimes. And so this is adding due process, which lacks in the family court system. Fair and speedy, right?
Right.
That's fair, that's speedy, and that is completely lacking, and it is harming children, um, all over the place. Like I said, they want more money all the time for mental health in the schools, but why are we having growing mental health problems in the schools? Let's get
Yeah.
to the root of that, because a bottle of pills, and I'm not against pharmaceuticals, so I don't want to misspeak, but a bottle of pills isn't a band-aid for having a parent absent that wants to be there loving you.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, no, and what's crazy is I think it's possibly higher than this, but the latest stats I was reading is now 41% of America's kids are being raised in a single parent household. And so it's just like it needs to stop. Like that is just way too high. And
Yeah.
we've got to get things back in order. Okay, you guys, before we move on, I just want to check because we've been going for a while. How you guys doing on time?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay, cool. Because we got 3 more to go. Okay, so the transparency through cameras in the courtroom. So this proposal for mandatory recording in courtrooms is intended to protect pro se litigants from judicial misconduct and court amnesia. So, you guys, why is it vital for fathers and mothers to jointly demand video records of off the record proceedings to ensure that the constitutional rights of all parents are upheld equally? I love that.
Why not? Think of
Right.
think of everything else we do in this world. Um, Football game, just take the cameras away and see how many arguments happen about where the foot was, where the toe was on the goal line or inside the post or outside the post. Why not? We do it for everything else. Secondly, if the argument is made that it's not fiscally so great to do cameras in the courtrooms, I'm pretty sure we had this thing called COVID that demanded cameras and technology be installed in almost, if not every courthouse.
Right.
Um, so why not? There's no argument as to why not, unless there's something going on that people don't want on camera. To
Yeah.
me, I think in a very basic, logical way, due to my way of growing up in life without technology. But why not? If we have a question at all that's out there, let's clear it up.
Yeah. Well, for me personally too, when it comes if you choose to become a public servant, especially you're a judge or something like that, when you are at the courthouse doing these cases, to me, you've lost the right to all privacy because you are there to serve the public. So we have every single right to know to have those videos, and those videos should be recorded. And honestly, too, I think it's important for us to kind of start like like politicians and judges, and I'm talking about the ones that are, misbehaving or whatever. Like maybe we need to remind them, like, you guys are public servants. That's what you're here to do. You're here to serve in the best interest of the public. That is your job. And I think a lot of them think too much of it as just like this is a career. And it's like, yeah, but you're in a very unique position that has a huge effect on a lot of people, so but yeah, yeah, okay. What about
There,
you, Ashley? Or go ahead, Lincoln, sorry.
no, go for it, Ashley. She'll have something good.
Um, I think it is important for pro se litigants, just so that they can have obviously not the official, but the unofficial transcript right away instead of waiting for the clerk. But to piggyback off of that, I'm on camera when I'm pumping gas. That's like an everyday thing, right? All the way up until if you are watching either legislation in DC or your state, that has to be televised. There is a rule that the court shall remain open to the public, but they don't like to share the Zoom link publicly if it's the Zoom hearings all day. And so that just goes back to, I'm not hiding anything when I'm pumping gas. I'm not hiding anything when I'm on camera driving down the road. I'm not hiding anything when I'm entering the gym facility on camera. They are everywhere.
Right.
So what's the big deal? It's not a big deal. It would help people a lot. And in fact, even as simple as if you have to transcribe, say, a voicemail that might be nasty that you're trying to show. This is why I'm bringing this issue up. When you're transcribing a voicemail and just writing it down versus how it actually sounds, that's way different. And so body language and tone doesn't equal what's on writing. And I think that matters a lot, because you can see then who's misbehaving. Was there a testifier that was out of line that should have been checked? Or, was this just completely overseen, biased, etc.? Or you can also look at it to study if you're pro se and learning. You can court watch yourself and see what you could have done better next. It helps everyone, literally, because we are not all really rich here where we can just keep forking out money for lawyers. I know so many people that have had to go pro se. So again, you can use it for a learning experience also, but it just goes back to if there's nothing to see here, why not show it?
Right. And you guys too, I wanna encourage everyone, I mean, going pro se, it's not that it's it's still not difficult, but it's way easier than it's ever been because between the internet and with the emergence of AI, accessing all these different laws, all the things you need to get the information organized, it's just a lot more accessible than it's ever been. And so, yeah, I definitely encourage you guys to look into Golden Pro Say if you haven't done it. Yeah, no, I agree, Ashley. Yeah, it's why not? Both you guys, like, why not cameras in the courtroom? So, all right, we got 2 to go, you guys. All right, you guys are freaking warriors, and that's kind of what this next question is getting into. Okay, so finding strength in a warrior support group. So Garza advises parents to drop the rope of high conflict games and find a good support group to survive the trauma of the system. How has the collaboration between the three of you provided a model for other parents to stop fighting each other and instead become warriors for the next generation of children?
There's a lot there, just like every other topic we're discovered and discussing here. You know, it's relationship. Uh, the whole thing hinges on the very thing that many of us struggled with, having good relationship with our exes. But to come out and to learn how to have relationship. Um, I think if there's one word about the whole movement, it's relationship, and it's relationship between parents, between professionals, and just think of the question we should really ask ourselves is, what does it take to come out of the hardest thing you've ever endured in your life, the deepest cut in your soul, which is knowing that I saw the children, we saw each other every day, and then all of a sudden there's a termination to that. And that's one thing. The family courts must acknowledge that there's injured parties coming to them. But then when you cut the deepest cut is when a person falsely removes love.
Mm.
And so it's very appropriate to acknowledge the amount of trauma that creates in any individual human being. You don't have to go anywhere in the animal kingdom to see what happens when someone severs a bond between a parent of an animal to a baby animal. Now, we're not animals, we're human beings, but the psychological and the parental bond of that being your child that you've cared for, it's always important to recognize there's parents coming from a very dark place when that deep, deep cut has been cut into the soul of severing the love, or trying to sever the love of a parent to a child. That's a horrific place to be and to come from. Now, how do you develop the ability to, what is it? It's building relationship with trust of other parents. These calls and these connections and everything hinges on that. I don't think there's a single person that will tell you that they did it on their own. That's the critical
Oh,
part. But
yeah.
then what is beautiful is creating again the gift of a solution that is here and here 10 times over in front of us, coming together as very determined people. I always tell people, you wouldn't even be here at this point if you hadn't already won.
Right.
You've already won that dragon that tried to say to you, stay down. You wouldn't be here. I don't care which side you're on. I don't care what political affiliation you have. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what religion you are. If you show up on these groups, you're already the parent that refuses to stay down. The
Right.
dragon called discouragement is the one that you have to fight the most in this journey, but you have officially stood back up, so you've already won. Now, the next stage is to, how do we make the difference? And that comes down to relationship, building relationship with other people, learning how to brainstorm together, learning how to use that collective wisdom. There's this massive, massive collective wisdom that comes together when we start having relationships. Relationships turn to trust. People got my back. People understand it. To bring
Yeah.
that full circle, that is a gem, and everybody has a golden gem to put in the bag. Everybody has a golden gem. You will have your strength, whatever it is, to bring to this and put your token in the sack of is mutual effort. Everyone does. It's different for
Amen.
all of us. But
Yep.
once we do, and you smell it, at first you're like, that smells like, what did Ashley say earlier? She said, I could co-parent with these people. Like, oh wow,
Yes.
there's people that are in the same type of channel, swimming in the same channel, but I could co-parent with them. You start smelling it, you're like, wait a minute. There's people that, yeah, and then you start tasting it. Then you start feeling it. Then you start
Yeah.
believing it. And once you believe in it and that trust, then that trust builds. And then it is an unstoppable force. It cannot be stopped. No matter what happens to any of us, period. The way that Robert has set this up, it cannot be stopped.
Yep.
The
Yep.
tentacles of security and safety and truth, they're out there. It's done. It's done. Now we just scale it and spool it and continue going.
I agree. I feel like we've already won. It just the seeds haven't completely fully grown yet, but I feel like we've definitely already won. So what about you, Ashley?
I was gonna say I don't know if I know he intended for everyone to be inclusive, but I don't know if he intended to create a culture that feels like family. We are like family, and for so long I'm not alone, I don't think, on this thought where I was the only person that this could happen to and kind of isolated. And once I met these new parents in this group, um they're my friends and family now, and I found a spot in society where I feel like I fit in, yet can be productive and solution focused while bringing others on board to get to that level. So I think Lincoln said it great, though, and that's all I'd like to comment.
Yeah, I love it. You guys, I mean, Ashley, obviously, I'm just getting to know you. Lincoln, I haven't known you that long, but you guys have been a blessing in my life. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. So, all right, you guys. So, check this out. So, for the next question, challenging the incestuous system of professionals. All right. So, the sources describe a system where judges, amicus attorneys, and evaluators are often dorm roommates or close associates leading to biased temporary orders. Ashley Lincoln, how does your joint effort to make temporary orders appealable help break up these backdoor deals that currently exploit both mothers and fathers?
Um, I'm not one that beats around the bush. I do construction for a living, so I would just
Okay.
say being honest and using your real lived life experience and letting others know that this happens to everyone, not just one gender. That's one of the most comforting things I think people can hear, because often you're rattled with false guilt, like, how can I fix this? And there feels like there is no way, but then allowing them to know that there is a solution for that. And all you have to do is literally send an email, copy and paste it. It is this most simple thing. So we probably have all been on the ups and downs of life in this kind of a journey, and this program that Robert Garza has designed is so simple that if you're having a bad day where you would rather choose to stay in bed for the day and give yourself a self care day, you can still accomplish getting legislation work done. It is that easy. You don't have to be a super successful CEO that's out running businesses. You can lay there in the dark with your phone and look up, who is my rep? Find your rep and senator, and then you can see them and you can go to his website. There's a nice template to just hit copy paste, pick a
Boom.
bill that
Yes.
would fit, pick the bills that would fit you and get going. But I promise, once you get going and you see how performative Robert is on those Zooms and how much he just flips those legislatures into understanding, because he is the number one educator. um, you will get out of bed and you will want and crave more Zooms. I was at one point, hopefully they don't see this, so sorry, boss, but I was hiding in my car from my boss trying to get on Zooms. I got blessed that like four of them we got rained out for, or I was going to have to do the same thing. But usually people don't hide in their cars from their boss for that reason, if that makes sense. But once you get rolling, it's like a euphoric feeling that you can't not get rid of, and it makes you hopeful. So I would encourage parents to at least try. And if you can't get through, reach out to one of us because we're always willing to help.
Yeah, you can reach out to all 3 of us, and you guys, it really is, it's so easy. I mean, again, like, I can testify to this because 'cause I've done it myself, and, you all you gotta do, Robert's got everything prepped out for you. You just gotta
Yeah.
copy, paste, send it to your, legislature, confirm that 20, 30-minute Zoom meeting, reach
Mhm.
out, and Robert will attend the meeting. He attended my meeting, and, yeah, I mean, he was a rock star. He helped get us over the finish line and got us set up for the second meeting. So, I've experienced it firsthand. And yeah, what about you, Lincoln? What do you got?
Well, Ashley said it really well. I mean, she laid out exact groundwork, standard work, standard operating procedures very simply. How do you break up that club, if you will, of friends and colleagues and professionals that have done whatever it is they've done. I'm not here to judge. Each each is responsible for their own actions and will be, on Judgment Day. But to give a little better picture into the movement and actually putting down this is how you do it. But 1800, I haven't looked here just recently, but 1843, the last time I checked, advocates have signed up. Um,
So tight. Yeah.
all right, then now let's take a look at Robert at the helm, obviously in all his elegance, professionalism, um, his articulate way of delivering and communicating, being accessible to everyone. Absolutely everyone that wants to speak to Robert Garza will be able to speak to him. And if you have trouble getting through, let me know. Come to our meetings Mondays and Wednesdays. We're always there. We've been there since July. And again, those meetings are going, I'll just lay it out. They're going legislative trainings, bills explanations, questions and answers about the bills, um, 30-second drill training. We're doing running drills. So we learn how to articulate and speak, and we teach each other by how do I tell my story in a very professional, short way to get the
I've done the
attention of
running
someone.
drills, you guys. I've done them. So yeah, they're
And
fun.
and we're training. So to quote Robert, the family courts were breeding us by their actions. They've now bred a crop of extreme advocates
Right.
in a
Yep.
good way.
Yeah.
Now we are training. We are in training camp and have been and remain and will stay there for every new parent that comes and says, I want an answer, come train with us. But it's more than that. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of an advocacy group that has an internal free, first off, it's all free, but an internal free support group by professional level services to come to on Tuesday night, and everybody's welcome. These groups are extremely good, extremely full, anywhere from 20 to 60 people attending at any given time. And that meeting on Tuesday historically often goes from 7 p.m. Central till past midnight. We
Yeah.
try very hard to stay on until everybody has either shared what's on their heart, what's important to you, do you have upcoming dates that you're worried about, do you have things on your mind and your heart, and the incredible sharing that happens there, all because Robert, when he teaches and trains, you can see him on the screen when someone wants to share their story. This is happening to me now. They want to share it, but Robert, in all his compassion that he has, wants to hear it, but you can't. You can't train effectively or teach a class and also listen to all the stories. So he called and he said, let's set up this Tuesday night support group. And
Yeah.
if all you ever do is come to the support group, you will still learn to feel the momentum, to feel the spirit that's there and of healing and of growing and moving forward. But yes, that's how you break up any clubs that have been created or any relationships that have been created that have worked against us, where someone may have went to school with somebody or they're at the country club together, and whatever the case may be. You know how we do it? We do relationship better than they do. We come
Exactly.
together with sober, straight minds and thoughts, and incredibly profound inspiration to heal and to help and to solve. Whereas many professionals that grew up together, from what I know of them, are maybe at the country club having a few and enjoying. And I know because I've had a partner that worked there with the judges and the attorneys. I know exactly what goes on there. That's the quality of time they're spending with their colleagues compared to the quality of time we're spending with our
Yep.
fellow volunteers. And just take a minute and do the math again. It all comes down to a mathematical equation. There's no harm, no foul, but if you think family court is twisted and tweaked to genders currently, many people do. I learned a lesson about this. I went to England and took a year course in coaching because I wanted one course they offered. I wanted the suicidal ideation experts they had offering that course, and I found myself in a very different setting entirely than what I had been coaching in previously. But I was training with, I think there was 165 females and 3 males, and I learned something. I learned a lot of things there, but the one thing I learned is about what Ashley mentioned earlier at the very start of this call was it seems the ladies are coming and they're really promoting and pushing with the Robert Garza movement. Well, I
Yep.
learned that us as men, I'll speak for myself, but I've also spoken to many other fathers, many other parents. We may work all week and spend 3 hours dedicated to my case, to work out and work on it for the attorney to get things fit for the attorney for the next hearing. A lot of the ladies are devoting 24/7 in the way they communicate, in the way they chat, in the way they talk together. I've been in these group chats and I see it flowing nonstop day and night. And so it's not so much the bias there as who really works harder at solving the issues.
Yeah.
And when you say give your time, I don't have time. Well, there's a donate button. You can donate if you have money, but nobody's asking for money over and over. We can definitely use it to go to these hearings. But think about the hundreds, if not thousands, of hours we've spent preparing for a hearing, preparing for a trial. And what if I gave just 10 hours to sending out emails like Ashley just described? What if
Right.
you will see results? But all of it comes down to how do we overcome the structure that's currently in place? We do more, we do better than those that are making and setting the court orders, recommendations, whatever professional you're dealing with. Do more. As a
Yeah.
parent, I'll do more.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I agree. And to a certain extent, I can sometimes I am a bit harsher on my fellow dads just because in general, I just don't think men have done a good job of protecting, and standing up for themselves and have kind of allowed themselves to be walked all over the past several decades. So because of that, we're inevitably kind of in these situations. I really try to get in dad's heads that we've got to, it's not that we want to be like, we don't want to be like these crazy, mean, hardcore feminists, but it is a lot, but we do need to like start addressing our issues and figuring out how to fix them. So, we can start moving forward because to a certain extent we've kind of put ourselves in this situation. So all right, you guys, last question. Building a legacy beyond your own cases. All right. So Robert Garza chose not to make his bills retroactive, meaning he didn't personally get his lost time back. He did it for those coming after. So, Ashley Lincoln, as you guys work to pass this legislation, what is your message to the public about the selfless nature of this movement and the importance of dads and moms joining forces to ensure no future child has to grieve a living parent?
I think
Go ahead.
just knowing Knowing the fact that these bills will not help one of my children, um, I've I'm fine with that because what I've been through and I've heard worse horror stories than my own. It's not right, and if you see something, say something. Isn't that a saying, right?
Right.
Um, if you see a problem, own a problem. And if you've experienced something this horrendous and the solutions are easily right there on one page with a great leader to teach you what to do. I'm not gonna, okay, I am gonna brag about Robert slightly. So if anyone is terrified of doing this, a lot of us probably had lawyers the first few times we had to go to court, right? And it made you feel more comfortable. Robert is not a lawyer, but he is that person that is going to make you feel comfortable advocating, and he's going to be there to hold your hand on every call. And so just to allow people to know that you can get out there and do this just fine, and someone will be holding your hand just like it was on the other side, but here you are, um preventing an issue. If you think about it, it's unselfish, but it could be selfish at the same time. I could become a grandmother that doesn't see her grandkids for
Yes.
their whole lifetime. This could go on for generations. And if you've seen it, it's really hard to unsee and unthink about it, if that makes sense and if that's a real word. But knowing the solutions are there and that one man alone got the largest populated state done on his own, there's no reason to sit in bed and cry. Especially
Right.
when there's joint efforts in every state. Think about that. One person got our largest state done on their own, and we have teams in every state and now countries. So that says enough where if one person was really determined to get this started and then also not willing to say, I'm done. My state's good. But expand the efforts so others aren't hurting. Um, I feel like I have a purpose after everything I've been through to make things better. And I do feel a lot better after doing this. Like I said, it's just a very hopeful experience that things will change.
I love it. I love it. What about you, Lincoln?
It's it's our duty. It's our duty um, to leave behind a legacy. If there's a situation that's a cause that we're losing lives, um, you can ignore for a second all the other pain and suffering that's involved. But let's say there's a situation where we know we're losing lives. It's our duty to build a mechanism to build. I love building things in my life, and I grew up in an old order Mennonite environment where it's like the Amish culture, and we'd build a barn. Um, and so I come from a world where we build things. If there's a need, if a barn burns down, we build a new one quickly. Um, and it's our duty to do that for our neighbors, for our fellow parents. Even if I had zero children in this life, with hopes um, that the children of the future, but especially like Ashley says, as a grandparent, if we don't, what's the alternative? We'll just get to a world where you don't know your family anymore, all that those strong bonds. No, it's our duty. It's duty. It's duty to protect the innocent. Um, and if you don't understand that, I'd call me. I'll spend 30 hours explaining why it's our duty until you do understand it. And I've spent, 10,000 plus hours with hurting parents in the mud before I even started, helping with Robert's work. And yeah, you don't look back from that. It's our duty to make it a legacy that says I refuse to leave any innocent man, woman, or child behind. Um, no, it's our duty. It's you can break it down very simply sometimes and just say it's our duty as a human being blessed with life and breath, um, to be an armor bearer for the protection of the innocent ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it, man. I couldn't have said it any better. Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And yeah, listeners, if you guys like this, let me know because I definitely want to start putting out doing more interviews with mother father duos. I think this is kind of unique and I'm hoping you guys are definitely gonna vibe with it. So before I mean, you guys already I love what you guys just said, but is there anything else you guys want to say before we get out of here?
I just
I just want
say,
to say there.
go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead, thinking.
No, you're it. Ladies
Um,
first. I said it when I started.
um, there is hope no matter what stage you're at. If you're not ready to advocate yet, or maybe your court case is really busy, you work a lot, have other children, that's fine. But we're always willing to help. Like Lincoln said, even if you're just struggling in life, please join us and we will definitely help you. All parents matter. You are not a bad parent. You are stuck in a bad system.
I love it,
Yeah.
Lincoln.
The word hope, that's if where there's hope, it's everything, and to realize that there's a tool that I'll just give one example of working with a parent for 3 years, and then they were making good progress, doing well, still in the system, but um, in 3 days of making a phone call, this parent got a chief of staff that was a grandmother that said, I've been waiting my whole life for legislation like this. And I watched that particular parent heal more with hope in 3 days than they had done in 3 years.
That
And
is
that's
beautiful.
a very profound thing for me to see and to experience and to inspire myself. But that needs to be known. It's about what Ashley says. It's about hope. These times, what you're dealing with, and you expect, justice and due process, and you realize that's not taking place. Uh, Hope can be very elusive, but to finally bring it full circle for our children, so we build a program that they can use. We teach it. It gets taught to so many people. It can never be eliminated from the history book ever again. This is how you deal with a situation that went too far. It's hope. It's creating that hope, and it's knowing that this is spooling up, folks. This is getting exciting right now. There's an event in Salt Lake City, Utah coming up in just 2 weeks or less. Look it up, join it virtually, pay attention to the speakers, because the excitement that I get is having been fortunate enough to learn and know and meet those that are genuinely working in the industry to make change and to bring about change. This is where we start getting excited about the next 40 years, because the next 40 years you're going to use every bit of wisdom that has been learned, and you're going to live out your life, and your children will be blessed. Your grandchildren will be blessed. So it's exciting. It's the most exciting time in life to realize that we were chosen for this moment, for this movement, for all this. And I get chills thinking about what God is about to release and to unleash. And when I say God is going to release and unleash this, I mean no one will be able to stand against it. We already
Yep.
see it day in and day out when they do try to stand against it, but you cannot stand against truth. Truth is concrete.
I love it. Yeah, no, I mean, I honestly believe we are living in the second American Revolution right now, but it's more of an information war, and I think this is not just in America. I think there's a revolution going on around the whole entire globe right now, and I think it's basically a battle between the old system that's been running the world for a long time and the emergence of just a more decentralized community-based system. And yeah, like you said, you guys, there's no stopping what's coming. And for me personally, with the parental rights movement, I look at it, obviously it's had a huge effect on me because it's personally affected me, but I look at this as my way of having a chance to participate in this revolution that's going on and helping change the system for the better. So again, we don't pass it all on. So
Yes.
yeah, you guys are incredible. Ashley, Lincoln, thank you for coming on the podcast. Did you guys have a good time today?
I did. That was awesome. Thank you, Codell.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. How about you, Lincoln? Did you have a
It
good
was
time?
it was outstanding. I appreciate your time, both of you, and especially one last honor to all the parents that are out there doing this quietly. And some states we don't even know somebody's been working, and all of a sudden there's this connection being made. Just a special honor to everyone that uh, has refused to stay down and has stuck their head back up, lifted themselves back up. Keep coming.
Yep.
Come help do with the work. Come find solace. But a special honor, and the most special honor of all, to all the children that are still waiting out there in the quiet places, not knowing for sure. You will know. The movement is coming to make it clear, and keep your courage, everybody.
All right. Love you guys. We will see you soon.
Big love.
Okay.